So I will tell you right from the start of this video, there's a lot of fear out there about tomorrow and the fact that tomorrow could be like Black Monday Part 2. Now, here in this video, we will discuss that a fair bit. We will look at Tesla stock, how or what could happen to Tesla this week in the scenario in which we do have a Black Monday event, or in the scenario that markets do go through a bounce. Because if we don't get a Black Monday event, then markets are oversold. That's a fact. And normally that does coincide with a bounce. There's a bit of a problem with that. We'll discuss it throughout this video. We will also look at your major catalysts this week. And I'll tell you from the start of this video, it's not Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday in terms of data. It's Thursday and Friday that are the big days. So markets are just kind of open to doing their thing for essentially the first half of this week. We also have a couple of earnings that could tell us a bit about how companies are looking at these tariffs, how they could impact margins if they plan to pass those costs on to consumers. So we have a jam-packed video for you. All I ask is that you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. And with that, easy, right? Let's get started. So let's first address Black Monday. We have no idea if that's going to happen or not. Jim Cramer suggests that a Black Monday is possible. For anyone that is not familiar, that is 1987. You had a 20% crash in one day in the markets. It was like 22%. And, well, people have kind of always feared that day again. If there was a day for that, it is potentially tomorrow. Okay? Because if these tariffs are not walked back, you're looking at a severe recession. And I know some people are going to say, well, companies can just move manufacturing to the US, blah, 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 blah. It's not that simple, my friend. I mean, we don't have the capacity for that, right? If all companies, you'd imagine they're doing this right now, are trying to move production back to the US, there's just not enough capacity for that. The manufacturing sector is too small. Okay, it's only 20% of the economy. There's not enough contract manufacturers out there to build all the Nike products, to build all of the, things that we get from Vietnam and China and Taiwan and all of those East Asian countries that were especially hit hard from the tariffs. That's, I guess, the issue. Now, markets are still kind of assuming that Trump walks back and cuts deals with these countries on tariffs. We have seen some countries try to negotiate things. Okay, Vietnam's trying to negotiate a fair bit. India's trying to negotiate. The EU's retaliated today on $28 billion worth of products. I don't know how big of a catalyst that is at this point. It's just icing on the cake, if you will. But there is definitely some deals trying to be worked. The issue is, this was such a large, sweeping, just nuking of the economy. That's the best way to put it. Like, Trump nuked the economy. Okay? Is a deal here or there, a deal or two, sufficient to rectify the issue? Probably not. And I don't see Trump backing down anytime soon. What I'm hearing from Trump supporters is, number one, these reciprocal tariffs were long overdue. There's been unfair trade. Okay, I'm hearing at least that it's going to get bad in the short term. They already know this, but it's going to be good in the long term. And number three, they could care less about what the stock market does. Okay, I'm not sure if a lot of them realize that their 401ks are tied to the stock market. Maybe that'll be a different discussion once they look at their portfolios, their 401ks, their retirements. Nonetheless, there's a lot of people that actually support this, which is surprising. And, well, without that pressure to really stop this, there's no pressure to stop this. Even Scott Bessent today said tariffs are not a catalyst for a recession. I don't know where he's been, what he's been doing, if he lives under a rock or off his rocker or something. Respectfully, he has no idea what he's talking about. He's lying. That's a lie. He knows damn well that tariffs are recessionary. Okay? It takes no genius to figure out the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act of 1930. The Republican Senate says that was the worst legislature ever passed in the Senate, by the way, caused the Depression or amplified the effects of the Depression. Well, this tariff nuking, I don't know what you want to call it or what we're going to coin it, trade war doesn't even seem right at this point, is like 3 to 4 times worse than the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act of 1930. Like, this at the minimum gives you a recession. Now, how do you price that in? Who's going to win? Who's going to lose? It's very hard to do so. I can tell you from the start, though, Tesla is one of those companies that would likely win. And I think that's why Tesla is not at the lows right now. Although, who knows? Tomorrow morning, that could be a totally different story. Now, we do have some statements as well coming out. Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, says April 9th tariffs will not be postponed. I mean, you have people under this post saying there's no stopping it. Tariffs are good for America. Liberals can't understand basic economics. There's no I think he meant postponing America's greatness. I feel like I'm living in the Twilight Zone, guys. I feel like I'm the only one that's like, oh my gosh, this is like a crisis. And a lot of people are like, this is good. Bravo. I mean, you gotta give it up for him, dude. Sticking by a cause, even though it's gonna destroy the American economy if it holds in its current form. Fantastic. I mean, wow. I'm duly impressed. I mean, if you've been a viewer of this channel, which hopefully you have been, I've been talking about getting out of margin debt now for a couple of weeks. And you're going to get rich off of this if you've listened to that. If you've raised cash, if you're prepared for this, this is easy. Okay, you're going to make a fortune, my friend. The Main Street folks that are about to lose their jobs, that's where I'm a little bit more concerned, okay? Obviously, we'll see what happens, but with statements like that, and again, Scott Bessent saying for the second time today that there's no reason to expect a recession from Trump tariffs, they're just like pushing any thought away from Wall Street that these tariffs are just negotiations. Like, that's why markets are only down 11% in 2 days. Only. Because people think that this is a negotiation tactic. If it is, you don't want to sell your portfolio. You don't want to deleverage that much. I mean, maybe this is just a big game of chicken with the Fed. Maybe the Trump admin knew that nuking the economy would force the Fed to cut rates. After all, they wanted, interest rates to fall. Okay? Maybe this was their way of doing that. Pretty effective, I would say. If we do have a Black Monday style crash, by tomorrow night, the Fed will be cutting rates. Almost with certainty. If the markets were down like 20%. Now, here's the deal. At 7% down, you have a circuit breaker. Markets halt for 15 minutes to let people calm down. I believe it's 10% down. Let's see. Okay, so the second level is a 13% drop. It triggers another 15-minute halt. I thought it was 10% for whatever reason, but 13%. And then a 20% fall. The markets close for the rest of the trading day. Okay, now I think, again, if you're down like 10 to 13%, you gotta go out and buy something, because that means the Fed's gonna pivot. The Fed's gonna cave And that should be positive for markets. Probably the Trump administration would cave at that point too. Especially, let's say, I'm just playing out theoretical scenarios here. If the S&P is down, let's say 15 to 18% tomorrow, that is a moment to go very heavy in markets, in my view. Now, that could totally be wrong, okay? But at that point, there is a 100% guarantee that the Fed comes out with an emergency meeting and starts accommodating, okay? There's an old saying on Wall Street, and I've said it before on this channel many times, and I'll say it again over the course of this channel. I plan to do this a long time, so you'll hear this from time to time. But it goes like this. Wall Street will stop panicking when policymakers start panicking, okay? If we do have a big crash tomorrow, policymakers will start panicking, and that could be the low for markets. Obviously, we'll have to see, but again, they should start panicking at that point. So who knows what happens? If we don't have a big drop tomorrow, it's probably because we're getting good news tonight at some point. But based on what we're hearing from the Commerce Secretary and from Scott Bessent, no, no good news there, okay? People are just living in their own little worlds. I feel like, again, we're in a twilight zone. Like, people are just in their own worlds. They don't understand these things, okay? Okay, fine. If you have cash, no margin, you're going to love this. A lot of hedge funds and institutions, though, are getting margin calls in which we have not seen since 2020. So some people are blowing up out there. And yeah, that's scary in and of itself. Nonetheless, as far as earnings this upcoming week, you have Levi's and Dave & Buster's tomorrow and after hours. I imagine, without looking into it too much, that Levi's does a lot of their production in Thailand and Vietnam, like basically everyone else, okay? What do they say about raising prices, if they're going to be able to pass on that cost to consumers? What do they say about these tariffs impacting margins? Are they looking to switch production? That's going to tell us more, not that Levi's is like an important company in and of itself, but more about Nike's plans, maybe Apple's plans. Give us kind of a roadmap, if you will, to go off of. Okay, that's why Levi's could be important tomorrow. You have Tilray and Walgreens Boots Alliance tomorrow morning. Wednesday in the morning, you have Delta Airlines. Wednesday and after hours, Constellation Brands. And Friday, you have JP Morgan, BlackRock, Wells Fargo, BNY, and Morgan Stanley. What do they say about tariffs? Banks were hit pretty hard on Friday as well with the sell-off. And they're all kind of exposed in their own ways. So what do they say about that? What do they say about a recession or about the markets, about the consumer? All of that clearly will be important. But by Friday, I mean, markets are either going to be, in a much worse place as it feels, or we're going to be stabilizing for a bottom. Because again, we are very oversold right now. So you are vulnerable for a bounce. Okay, we're still at a very high level though, right? So there's still room to fall. But tactically speaking, from a, maybe positioning perspective even, and a relative strength perspective, you're vulnerable for a bounce here. You should see a bounce here. Okay, so some of these earnings can be important. Now, for Tesla specifically, obviously, any company-specific news could be important, although if we're in a full-blown crash this week, like, none of it's going to matter. Now, if we really had something like Black Monday, you could assume that Tesla could do 3 times worse than the S&P. So if the S&P is down 10%, Tesla could be down 30%. If the S&P is down 15%, Tesla could be down 45% tomorrow. Like, that would be a mass liquidation. Tesla could be a $130 stock tomorrow if the markets are down 15% in the S&P. I see really no other way around that, right? Maybe it's 25%. Who knows what the actual number is? But if you did have a Black Monday kind of event, yeah, Tesla's gonna get wrecked on that. And I think that would be a huge buying opportunity, right? Because again, the Fed's going to come out, they're going to lower rates and blah, 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 start panicking, and Wall Street should stop panicking a bit. And if we did have like a Black Monday crash, just you may be the most oversold in the history of the markets, or at least going back to, Black Monday in 1987. So like there would be a lot of reasons to be optimistic on a big fall like that. And clearly people are just getting blown up if you're down like that much. Okay. And I think Trump would even back down or probably pause the tariffs, give people some room to breathe here, because I even think that risks being impeached. I mean, if you come in within 4 months, you're facing what could be an economic depression. You're facing people's retirements blowing up. It could be hard to avoid some impeachment processes. And I don't think that's what Trump wants to face. So while it's highly uncertain what's going to happen, there's a lot of fears of Black Monday. And there's all bets are really off the table, if you want me to be honest here. Okay. So we'll see. If we do fall a lot, I'll be doing a lot of buying. Hopefully you guys will as well. But you still want to have cash on the sidelines. And depending on the sell-off, you want to still keep that margin unused. In my view, of course, playing with margin is dangerous. But if you're down 15 to 18% tomorrow, like right at the point where markets might close for the day, I think that would be a moment to use some margin. Maybe I'm crazy there. Maybe that's just a crazy thought. But I guess that would be my game plan. Okay. So unfortunately, there's nothing really positive to report here. Again, should be due for a bounce, but we'll have to see. And just get ready. Just get ready for tomorrow. I guess that's the best advice I could give you. Get a good night's rest. If you're in margin, call your mother, ask if she's got an extra room available, or, I don't know, something. That's probably the best advice, not advice I could give you. So let me know what you guys think about this down below in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on Tesla coming tomorrow, on markets tomorrow, and really throughout this week. Do you plan on doing buying? Do you plan on just sitting there and reassessing as things go? Let me know your thoughts and your views on that down below in the comment section. You guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.